Okay, let us now see what 2.2.21 says. Sutram is Tritiya Prabhriti Nyanyatarasyam. Padacheda is Tritiya Prabhriti Anyatarasyam. Vritti says 3.4.47. Upadamshas Tritiyayam Ityadi Nyupapada Nyamante Navyayena Sahava Samasyante. Which means that 3.4.47 Upadamshas Tritiyayam Iti Adini Upapadani Amantena Avyayena Saha Vasamasyante. Meaning the Upapadani. Of course, we know Sutram 3.192, which defines the Upapadam as Tatropapadam Saptamistam. In the present case, what do we have? We have Dvitiyayam, which ends in the Saptami Vibhakti. So therefore, a Dvitiyantam Padam is the Upapadam. So the Upapadani mentioned in 3.4.47 etc. up to 3.4.66, which also we have studied. Paryapti Vachanesh Valamartheshu. These Upapadani compound optionally with a Avyayam, provided the Avyayam ends in the affix The Kashika says Ubhayatra Vibhasheyam, which means Ubhayatra Vibhasha Yam. This Vibhasha is a Ubhayatra Vibhasha. What is the meaning of Ubhayatra Vibhasha? Means Prapte Aprapte cha, a rule which prescribes an optional operation, both in the case where the operation was already prescribed by some other rule, as well as in the case where the operation was not prescribed at all by another rule. So that is what is called as prapte aprapte cha vibhasha, is ubhayatra vibhasha. In our case, what situation do we have? Yadamaiva tulya vidhanam upapadam tasya prapte yatha 3.4.47 upadam shastritiyayam iti yat punar rama chanyena cha tulya vidhanam tasya prapte yatha 3.4.59 avyaye yatha vipretakhyaane kriyaha ktvar namulau iti. This means that the Sutram 2.2.21 prescribes optional compounding in both of the following cases. First case is prapte. First case is where the compounding is already prescribed by another rule. So it is a case where the affix is the only affix prescribed by the same rule, for example 3.4.47, which prescribes the upapadam, and hence compulsory compounding would otherwise be prescribed by 2.2.19 upapadam ating, with the permission of 2.2.20 amaevavyayena. So in the absence of 2.2.21, compounding between the upapadam and the avyayam ending in would be compulsory by 2.2.19 upapadam ating, with the permission of 2.2.20 amaevavyayena. One more time, 2.2.20 amaevavyayena says upapadam may be compounded with avyayam only if the avyayam ends in the affix provided also that the affix is the only affix prescribed by the same sutram which prescribes the upapadam. What do we have right now? We have the sutram dvitiyayancha, which only prescribes the affix So in our case right now, just as in the case of 3.4.47, the compounding between rasa and varjam would be compulsory. But now this sutram 2.2.21 says the compounding should be optional. So this is in the case of prapte, when the compounding was already prescribed by 2.2.19 with the permission of 2.2.20. The second case is aprapte, which means that the compounding was not available by any other rule, where the affix is prescribed along with another affix by the same rule. For example, 3.4.59, which prescribes ktva as well as namul. So this is a case where the affix is prescribed along with another affix by the same rule which prescribes the upapadam, and hence compounding would otherwise be prohibited by 2.2.20. Remember, 2.2.20 requires that be the only affix prescribed by the sutram which prescribes the upapadam. 3.4.59 prescribes ktva as well as namul. So 2.2.20 would prohibit the compounding, but now 2.2.21 allows the compounding optionally. This is what is meant by ubhayatra vibhasha. vibhasha, prapte aprapte cha. Sometimes vibhasha is only prapta vibhasha, meaning that it is optional prescription of some operation or rule which otherwise is obligatory. Sometimes the vibhasha is aprapta vibhasha, meaning that it prescribes an optional operation which otherwise would not be available at all. And sometimes, as we just saw, vibhasha is ubhayat vibhasha, prapte aprapte cha. Okay, let's now complete our example. We are at the stage where we have rasa plus varjam. Samasa pakshe, in the case where the compounding is done, we form the compound between the rasa which is the uppadam, because dvitiyayam ends in the saptami vibhakti in the sutram 3.4.53, and therefore by 3.192 tatro uppadam saptami stham rasa gets the upapada sanya, and the compounding is of course done by 2.2.19 upapadam ating. Here rasa is the upapadam, hence it gets the upasajana sanya by 1.2.43. Pratama nidishtam samasa upasajanam, because in the sutram upapadam ating, upapadam is pratama nidishtam, it ends in the pratama vibhakti, and 2.2.19 is the samasa vidhayaka sutram, so therefore the upapadam in this case rasa gets the upasajana sanya by 1.2.43. Pratama nidishtam samasa upasajanam. All these steps are same as we have done before, nothing new. In the compound, rasa is placed in the prior position as per 2.2.30, upasajanam purvam, and rasa plus varjam gets the paratipadika sanya by krit tadita samasascha, because you have formed a compound. And therefore by 2.4.71 supo dhatu pratipadika yoho, the sup affix which is inside the pratipadikam takes the look elision, and we get rasa varjam as the form. Rasa varjam gets the avyaya sanya by 1.139 krin me jantaha. Now in the case when we don't form the compound, samasa bhava pakshe, then we leave it as rasa plus varjam, which is rasam plus varjam by 6.1.107 amipurvaha, then rasam varjam by 8.3.23 monuswaraha. Now the vritti of this sutram 2.2.21 says at the end amantena vyayena sahava samasyante. On that Tattvabodhini comments ametyanuvartata ityaha, ama iti anuvartate ityaha, which means that the anuvritti of ama comes down from the sutram 2.2.20 ameva vyayena down to the sutram 2.2.21. That is why the vritti says amantena iti tena iha na paryapto bhoktum paryapti vachaneshu iti tumun. This sutram is 3.4.66. This prescribes the affix tumun, not So here there will be no compounding at all. The optional compounding prescribed by 2.2.21 is limited only to those cases where the compounding is done with a avyayam ending in the affix If that is not the case, then 2.2.21 does not apply. Now in the Ashtadhyayi, the section for Namul, the affix Namul, runs from 3.4.22 down to 3.4.24, and again from 3.4.26 down to 3.4.58, and even after that from 3.4.59 to 64 is a section where Panini prescribes Namul as well as Ktwa. So there are a number of rules here, but as we said before, this affix Namul is not commonly used in the language. That doesn't mean that it's never used. We already saw an example from the Bhagavad Gita. So it is seen occasionally, and at that time we have to come to this section of the Ashtadhyayi and see if we can find a sutram to justify that usage.